African Development Bank has been a strong supporter of Mozambique. And Mr. President, in the last 10 years under my presidency, from 2015 to 2025, we provided a total of $1.6 billion to Mozambique. And to put that in perspective, just to tell you, that means 41% of the total financing of the bank to Mozambique in the last 48 years was done just in the last 10 years. The African Development Bank was the lead financier of Mozambique's $20 billion liquefied natural gas project, for which the bank invested $400 million as senior debt financing. I also wish to thank you, Mr. President, for your visiting the LNG project in Cabo Delgado in February. Your leadership there that you showed brought a lot of reassurance to the investors. I am proud of what has been achieved in Mozambique, especially in the power sector, where our support for energy projects contributed significantly to the national energy access, increasing from 30% in 2018 to 60% in 2024. Our $34 million support for the Mozambique Energy for All project provided access to electricity for over 45,500 households in under-electrified provinces such as Zambezia, Nampula, including 14,000 female-headed households. Mr. President, the African Development Bank also strongly supported you in agriculture sector with the development of special agro-industrial processing zones. For example, in Pemba, Linchinga, one of the 6 of such zones the bank is supporting, and I know you're big on agriculture. The bank also, with our partners, supported you strongly in the development of the Nacala and the Beira corridors, which are transforming trade today and transport logistics and improving regional trade for the African Continental Free Trade Area. Let me now shift to my second heart as chairman of Africa50. Mr. President, when the African Development Bank created Africa50, the vision was clear, and you heard it from Alain Ebobisse, to develop a platform, an asset management company for mobilizing financing at scale for infrastructure with market rate of returns. I am proud, very proud, of what Africa50 has become today. Within 8 years of establishing Africa50, Africa50 has become a leader in infrastructure financing in Africa, thanks a lot to the visionary leadership of our CEO, Alain Ebobisse. Please give it up to him. And you can feel his drive, his passion, his commitment, and that's what we are. It's due thanks to the incredibly capable staff and talented staff that we have, and the support of the boards of directors, and of course you, our esteemed shareholders. Today, Africa50's shareholders have risen to 37, with 33 countries and 4 institutions, as Alain laid out. From just one staff, in fact, when we started, it was myself, it was Charles Boama, who was then my senior vice president, Amadou Souley, who was the general counsel, and we had no account, we had no letterhead, we had nothing. That was how we started. And the first staff we actually had to hire was this man, Alain. And now we have 100 exceptional staff. An institution today that is managing well over $1.4 billion in assets. The total portfolio size of the companies in which it's investing is today $8 billion. Just imagine all of that in an 8-year period. Africa50 is showing creativity and innovation on infrastructure financing. Its Africa Infrastructure Acceleration Fund raised $275 million from over 20 African institutional investors. And I must say, that's the first time that has happened. When you see institutional investors investing at scale, that means they have confidence in it. And I think that we should thank the institutional investors for having confidence in us. And thank you very much. Africa50 is delighted to be working closely in partnership with Mozambique in areas that complement the work of the African Development Bank, especially in infrastructure, energy, and transport. Alain has laid it out, but I'll say it again. Africa50 will be, Mr. President, an equity investor in the 175 megawatts gas-fired power plant the Central Tamica Durezano Garcia CTRG. Africa50 is finalizing the project development agreement for 3 transmission lines under an independent power transmission framework. And this will be in partnership with the Power Grid and Electricidade do Mozambique EDM. And Africa50 is expected to develop, as Alan said, the data center facility in Maputo City. I am delighted that our shareholders are here with us in Maputo to witness the fruits of collaboration and partnerships between the African Development Bank and Mozambique, partnerships between the African Development Bank and Africa50, and partnerships between the Africa50 and Mozambique. Partnerships is what we need. Partnerships is what we will need to close the $170 billion a year infrastructure financing gap that we have today in Africa. And those partnerships will have to expand. Partnerships with multilateral and bilateral financial institutions. Partnerships with investment banks and private equity funds. Partnerships with institutional investors from sovereign wealth funds to pension funds and to insurance pool of funds. Partnerships, of course, between countries to finance cross-national infrastructure, to spur regional integration and advance the African Continental Free Trade Area. And I'm delighted that the Secretary General is here with us today. Together, we are stronger. Together, let's join our hands together around what I call the baobab tree of infrastructure opportunities in Africa.
This is a public commitment we took during our installment to promote private investment for resilient infrastructure, for a resilient and transformative environment, to have logistic platforms that can be competitive. This meeting inspires 2 panels that are going to be held today. The first, leveraging energy and industrialization. We are reminded that Africa industrialization will only be able with feasible energy. This is why we signed our memorandums of understanding with our EDM company. The second is to unleashing trade and connectivity, infrastructure, logistics, and the continental corridors. Regional integration and logistics is essential to make the free trade zone a reality and tangible for our peoples and communities. This is why we've signed a memorandum of understanding to allow for building an infrastructure, chiefly along our borders, one-stop borders, to flexibilize our trade between African countries. This is why, ladies and gentlemen, the video we just watched mirrors the Mozambican desire today, the purpose intended to develop on real opportunities. We dotted with massive natural resources. We have geostrategic location at the continent and the world. We have a resilient people, hardworking, friendly, and humble. Our coastline of more than 2,500 have access to Mozambique, transforming it in a natural platform for national trade. In the last years, we consolidated a macroeconomic environment more stable, regardless of the internal and foreign economic shocks. We have strategic investments making Mozambique in full participation in world economy. Our intention is to build industrialized Mozambique, competitive Mozambique, where the private sector can generate partnerships. Above all, our key partner in employment generation and innovation, this innovation is included in the national strategy recently approved by the Parliament in 2025 2044, setting the priorities of the country and responding to the economic, structural, and international demands we are living today. Mozambique is taking a strategic role in Southern Africa, as we just mentioned. Our ports, development corridors, the pipelines provide access, vital access to inland countries, making us a regional logistical hub. We've been focusing on Maputo, Beira, Nacala corridors. We've projected new strategic corridors, including Nyambane for South Africa. Our energy resources, including oil and gas and hydroelectricity, including solar energy, we are ready for the SADC region. This is why our meeting with the AfDB president in Sevilla, Spain, for inviting him to visit our assets so that we as Mozambicans can meet the demand from our neighbor countries at the SADC region. Today, we are here with the president of the AfDB, my brother Desina, for once more to talk on the potential existing in Mozambique and the investments we are looking for to position ourselves as a country, a reference country on transportation, logistics through our corridors. This is why we have a Minister of Transportation and Logistics, but also to become a hub to provide electricity to the neighboring countries around the region.